Trump says undocumented immigrants shouldn't get trials before deportation. President Donald Trump has reignited controversy by calling for the mass deportation of undocumented immigrants without trials. Arguing that the legal system is too slow and overwhelmed, Trump claims the country must act quickly to remove what he calls dangerous individuals. If you're interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. The president claimed that countries were sending their prisoners to the United States and that he needed to bypass the constitutional demands of due process to expel them quickly. President Trump asserted on Tuesday that undocumented immigrants should not be entitled to trials, insisting that his administration should be able to deport them without appearing before a judge. The remarks, which he made in the Oval Office in front of reporters, were Mr. Trump's latest broadside against the judiciary, which he said is inhibiting his deportation powers. Mr. Trump falsely claimed that countries like Congo and Venezuela had emptied their prisons into the United States, and that he therefore needed to bypass the constitutional demands of due process to expel the immigrants quickly. I hope we get cooperation from courts, because we have thousands of people that are ready to go out, and you can't have a trial for all of these people, Mr. Trump said. It wasn't meant. The system wasn't meant. And we don't think there's anything that says that. He claimed that the very bad people he was removing from the country included killers, drug dealers, and the mentally ill. We're getting them out, and a judge can't say, "No, you have to have a trial," Mr. Trump said. The trial is going to take 2 years. We're going to have a very dangerous country if we're not allowed to do what we're entitled to do. He made similar statements in a social media post on Monday in which he wrote, "We cannot give everyone a trial because to do so would take, without exaggeration, 200 years. Mr. Trump's remarks have drawn swift backlash. Representative Jonathan L. Jackson, Democrat of Illinois, wrote on social media, "We can't give everyone a trial. Excuse me, what? That's straight-up dictator talk. Due process isn't optional because it's inconvenient. This is the United States, not a banana republic. If you want to shred the Constitution, just say so." Mr. Trump's comments came after the Supreme Court, early on Saturday, temporarily blocked the administration from deporting a group of Venezuelan migrants it accused of being gang members under the expansive powers of a rarely invoked wartime law. Mr. Trump issued a proclamation last month invoking the Alien Enemies Act as a way to deport immigrants he alleged were members of Tren de Aragua, a violent Venezuelan street gang. The law, which was passed in 1798, has been used only 3 times before in U.S. history, during periods of declared war. The Supreme Court has ruled that those subject to the statute needed to be given the opportunity to challenge their removal. The Trump administration has also been dogged by the case of a Salvador man living in Maryland who was deported because of an administrative error. The Supreme Court ordered the administration nearly 2 weeks ago to facilitate his return, so he could go through the legal system in the United States. But the White House has so far not fulfilled that order. The White House posted on social media that the man, Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, was never coming back. Trump says they can't have a trial for all migrants he wants to deport. Amid a tense legal battle over deportations, President Donald Trump is now arguing undocumented migrants should not be given a trial where they could challenge being removed from the country. We're getting them out, and I hope we get cooperation from the courts because, we have thousands of people that are ready to go out, and you can't have a trial for all of these people, Trump said in the Oval Office on Tuesday. It wasn't meant. The system wasn't meant, and we don't think there's anything that says, look, we are getting some very bad people, killers, murderers, drug dealers, really bad people, the mentally ill, the mentally insane. They emptied out insane asylums into our country. We're getting them out. Trump continued. And a judge can't say, "No, you have to have a trial." No, we're going to have a very dangerous country if we are not allowed to do what we are entitled to do, Trump added. Trump made a similar argument in a post to his conservative social media platform, contending they can't give everyone they want a poor trial because it would take, without exaggeration, 200 years. Such a thing is not possible to do, he wrote. The comments came after the Supreme Court, in a brief order issued early Saturday morning, temporarily blocked the administration from deporting a group of Venezuelan migrants alleged to be gang members under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. The government is directed not to remove any member of the putative class of detainees from the United States until further order of this court, the justices said. Justices Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas dissented. The Trump administration pushed back against the Supreme Court, calling its decision unprecedented and wrong. Solicitor General John Sauer said the justices should reverse course and let lower courts weigh in on the issue first. The American Civil Liberties Union had appealed to the nation's high court to stop the migrants being held in a Texas detention center from being removed, contending they were at risk of being deported without notice or an opportunity to be heard. A breach, they said, of the Supreme Court's previous order that detainees are entitled to reasonable time to seek relief. These men were in imminent danger of spending their lives in a horrific foreign prison without ever having had a chance to go to court, said ACLU attorney Lee Jelen in a statement after the Supreme Court's order. We are relieved that the Supreme Court has not permitted the administration to whisk them away the way others were just last month. Also front and center Trump's deportation effort is the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a migrant living in Maryland who was erroneously deported to El Salvador's infamous Secot megaprison. Trump administration board czar Tom Homan defended Abrego Garcia's removal, telling ABC's This Week co-anchor Jonathan Karl they did the right thing and removed a public safety threat. The administration's alleged Abrego Garcia is a member of the MS-13 gang, which his attorneys and family deny. Democrats have criticized Trump's actions in the case as violating due process rights. Senator Chris Van Hollen was the first Democratic lawmaker to visit El Salvador, where he met with Garcia last week. Several House Democrats were in El Salvador on Monday to advocate for his release. While Donald Trump continues to defy the Supreme Court, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is being held illegally in El Salvador after being wrongfully deported, said Democratic Representative Robert Garcia. That is why we're here to remind the American people that kidnapping immigrants and deporting them without due process is not how we do things in America. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Till then, take.
Trump says undocumented immigrants should not get trials before deportation. President Trump has repeatedly argued that undocumented immigrants should not be granted trials before deportation, asserting that the judicial process hampers swift removal and angers national security. In comments made both in the Oval Office and on social media, he claimed that countries such as Congo and Venezuela had released their prisoners and mentally ill individuals into the United States. Citing these assertions, Trump stated that the immigration system was not designated to handle mass trials and that due process should be bypassed in such cases. He emphasized the urgency of explaining very bad people, including alleged killers, drug dealers, and gang members, warning that insisting on our trials would make the country. The president's statements come amid legal disputes over the administration's effort to use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport migrants, particularly Venezuelans accused of being members of the Tren de Aragua gang. This wartime era law, rarely invoked in our US history, has been a challenge in the court. The Supreme Court recently issued a temporary block on deportation under this act, insisting detainees must be given a chance to challenge their removal. Trump criticized the judiciary involvement, asserting that mass deportation without the trials is a necessary for public safety. Civil rights advocates, including the ACLU, have condemned Trump's stance as unconstitutional, emphasizing that due process cannot be discarded for convenience. The organization successfully appealed to the Supreme Court to halt the removal of a group of Venezuelan detainees, arguing they were at risk of deportation without a notice or legal recourse. Meanwhile, political backlash has intensified, with the Democratic lawmakers labeling Trump's remark as authoritarian and dangerous. One case drawing national attention is the death of Kilmer Abrego Gresha, a Salvadoran man mistakenly deported despite a Supreme Court order mandating his right to challenge the removal. Sent to El Salvador CECOT, mega prison is a depression has a sparked bipartisan concern with lawmakers visiting him abroad and demanding his. The Trump administration claims Russia is a public safety threat linked to MS-13, a claim is a legal team strongly disputes. As legal and political pressure mounts, critics argue that the administration attempts to circumvent judicial oversight, undermine core American legal principles, and pose serious threats to civil liberties.